This is 5 on 20 News, where the news will boggle your mind and the newscasters will knock your socks off, with Anais, Quintela
and Jeff Weber, coming to you live from our studios in downtown Tucson. First, the local headlines.
Human rights organizations are accusing Border Patrol of using the desert as a weapon. 2 reports by the groups No More Deaths and Derechos Humanos say that the Border Patrol is fueling a missing persons crisis by chasing people in order to apprehend border crossers. The report claims that 8,600 people may have died due to harsh desert conditions. That is 43% higher than estimate Border Patrol has released. Sophie Smith, one of the authors of the report, says that the deaths were designed by government agencies. She pointed to a policy called Prevention Through Deterrence, which was introduced by Doris Meisner, a former head of Immigration and Naturalization Service. The policy was adopted in 1994. Prevention through deterrence involved setting up border fences in order to deter border crossers and send them towards more dangerous terrain. This tactic had more people walking through the Sonoran Desert and away from cities like Nogales. Border Patrol has countered these claims, saying that they try to prevent deaths, deploying a team of 230 agents trained as emergency medical technicians. They also have a 54-member search team called Borstar agents that are used to search the desert for missing persons. In November 2013, Derechos Humanos sent up a missing migrant crisis line to deal with the hundreds of missing person calls made to the group. They have opened more than 1,200 cases, with 41% of the cases involving injuries resulting from a chase with Border Patrol agents. They have found that 42% of those cases involved people who became lost as a result of a Border Patrol chase. And 1/3 of the cases involved helicopters, which purposely kick up dust on the ground to lessen visibility and throw migrants off their path.
A private contracting company is claiming that Pima County skipped out on a bill for millions of dollars. The unpaid fees are related to road construction work completed in 2015. Select Development and Constructed is suing Pima County for $1 million that the company says the county never paid. They also sought $8 million for overhead costs that racked up due to the county's slow response to requests for information and for design flaws in the original plans. The case stems from a project that widened La Cañada Road into a multi-lane roadway. Insure, Western Surety, and R&O, another construction company who helped to finance the project, joined the construction company in the suit. The companies are trying to prevent the IRS from collecting over $800,000 in back taxes, which they say shouldn't be collected until Pima County pays up. Pima County's defense is that they withheld the funds because the companies went over budget without authorization. But the company said that the cost overruns were unavoidable because the county abandoned their original design and went with a much more expensive plan without increasing the budget. The case against the IRS will go to district court this year. The loser of the case will have to travel down a pothole-riddled Tucson road on a seatless bicycle. Good luck.
A proposed sales tax hike hearing was canceled yesterday. The reason for the cancellation was a lack of speakers. If passed, the proposal would mean a 1/2 cent increase of the local sales tax. Funds collected from the tax would go towards repairing roads and providing equipment for fire and police. A sales tax increase would cost each Tucson household about $3 per year. The proposal will be on the ballot next May. If you're mad about the sales tax raise, well, then you probably should have signed up to speak out against it yesterday. Hopefully the lack of interest is a result of mass agreement on the issue and not Tucson apathy at play.
University of Arizona students have no reason to complain about finals this year. The Humane Society of Southern Arizona is providing puppies for students to cuddle during this intense week. The program was designed to calm college kids' nerves before a test while also raising money for the Humane Society. The program, called Coffee and a Cuddle, has raised $1,000 so far. If you're freaking out because you drank yourself dumb through the semester, at least you can spend the day with a puppy before you're kicked out of school and sent back home.
Tig Notaro will be performing at the Rialto Theater tomorrow night. The comedian shot to prominence after she delivered a hit performance at Los Angeles venue Largo. During that stand-up special, she detailed a horrendous string of bad luck, losing her mother, breaking up with her girlfriend, battling an illness called C. diff, and finding out she had cancer. Louis C.K. released the special on his website, and the comedian blew up. Her life was an inspiration for a documentary. She scored an HBO special that is titled Boyish Girl Interrupted, and a TV show created by Notaro and based on her life called One Mississippi was released earlier this year. All of those things are great, and her stand-up is top-notch. The comedian's personal life has improved along with her career. Notaro beat cancer and is now married with newborn twin boys. No doubt she will talk about that in her performance tomorrow. You can get tickets to the show at rialtotheater.org.
And I want to take a moment to talk about the program you're watching right now. Here at 5 on 20, we are undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism. We're going to give you the news as we see it, and we want more people to speak up with us. We need writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, sound people, the whole gamut. The times require a new way of informing ourselves, so join us. Do it. Do it now. Email us at info@creativetucson.org to get involved. And if you think there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event we should cover, or have any kind of news tips, email us at info@creativetucson.org. We are here for you, and we want to cover all stories from all points of view. So don't be strangers. Now, in national and international news.
It appears as though The Apprentice presidential edition may be soon drawing to a close. Trump appointed 2 lower-level positions yesterday. Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt was named as head of the EPA. Pruitt is known as an ally of the fossil fuel industry as he played an instrumental role in challenging President Obama's climate change policies. This aligns with Trump's campaign statements on erasing Obama's efforts to combat climate change by pulling out of the Paris Accord and weakening the Clean Power Plan. The main target appears to be Obama's effort to force power plant operators to reduce their CO2 emissions. Because this is covered under the 1970 Clean Air Act, it would be difficult for Trump to get rid of the ruling. However, as head of the EPA, Pruitt could weaken, delay, or slowly dismantle the rules. Pruitt consistently fought environmental regulations while Attorney General. He was partly responsible for the increase of fracking in Oklahoma, which has been blamed for an increase in earthquakes throughout the state. Pruitt worked together with a group of attorneys general to file a 28-state lawsuit against the Obama's administration environmental rules. In 2014, the New York Times discovered that energy lobbyists had drafted letters on state stationery for Pruitt to send to the EPA, the Interior Department, and President Obama. Basically, the fossil fuel industry did Pruitt's homework for him, except his homework may help destroy the planet. Looks like the swamp now has an oily sheen on top. Trump also appointed retired General John F. Kelly to head up the Department of Homeland Security. The most shocking part of Kelly's appointment is that it actually makes sense. Kelly is a former commander of Southern Command, which mainly deals in the Southern Hemisphere and promotes soft power over military interventions. Kelly's son died in Afghanistan after stepping on a mine, making Kelly the highest-ranking military officer to lose a son in battle. This could prove to be important as Kelly knows the human costs of waging war. Tune in next week when Trump plans to reveal his final picks in a star-studded finale featuring a performance by Neil Nuge, a supergroup consisting of Motley Crue's Vince Neil and Ted Nugent.
Yesterday, the Senate passed a medical research bill that is intended to speed up drug research, but opponents say it will do nothing to help lower high drug prices. In addition to speeding up drug approvals, the 21st Century Cures Bill contains provisions that fight the nation's opioid epidemic and strengthens laws that equate mental care with physical health care. The bill was passed somewhat on bipartisan agreement, with both Republicans and Democrats voting for it. The bill was championed by Vice President Joe Biden. However, progressive members of Congress, such as Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, criticized the bill as being a giveaway to the pharmaceutical industry. Sanders introduced an amendment to the Cures bill that would have lowered prescription prices in the U.S. and would have made it legal to import low-cost medicines from other countries. He called the amendment the Trump proposal because it fits with one of Trump's campaign promises of lowering drug prices in the country. But Republican Roy Blunt blocked Sanders' move, claiming that it would lessen the chances of the bill passing. In response, Sanders said he could not support a health care bill that did not address the sky-high prices in the U.S. While the bill does take steps in assuring that mental health is covered, members of Congress are concerned that this new measure won't matter if the Affordable Care Act is overturned. The Affordable Care Act, popularly known as Obamacare, combined with Medicaid, pays for about a quarter of all mental health cases. Last week, the House passed the Cures bill, and it will be passed off to Obama next week. The president is expected to sign it.
70s porn star style bush may actually protect you from STDs, says a study from the University of California, San Francisco. The study shows that people who shaved their downstairs even once in their lifetimes were twice as likely to at least have one STD. Those who were considered extreme groomers or who shaved pubic hair more than 11 times a year were 4 times as likely to contract an STD. Benjamin Breyer, a urologist from the college, led the study, which was published in the journal Sexually Transmitted Infections. And we are nominating the report as the worst bathroom reading material of 2016. Breyer and his team surveyed 7,500 men and women between the ages of 18 and 65 and asked them about their grooming habits. About 2/3 of men and 80% of women described grooming their nether regions, while 10% identified as extreme groomers. Scientists say that shaving creates cuts and micro tears that make it easier for bacteria to enter the bloodstream. They also say that pubic hair, like eyebrows and other hairs, are there for a reason, and that reason is to protect our bodies from foreign objects, or at least some foreign objects. STDs that affect skin, such as HPV and syphilis, were found to be higher among the shaved masses. Other types of STDs, such as lice and gonorrhea, were not as common because those require hair in order to lay their eggs. In summary, I will paraphrase Frozen and tell you simply, let it grow, let it grow.
Stay hairy, Tucson. Time Magazine has named President-elect Donald Trump as Person of the Year, sending Trump's already towering ego into the stratosphere. Like anything involving Trump, the magazine's cover was not without controversy. Twitter commenters quickly seized on the cover, pointing out that the M in Time looks like devil horns on top of Trump's head. One person tweeted that Time's art designer deserves a raise. The magazine was also criticized for posing Trump in a similar way to a famous photograph of Hitler, where the dictator sits in a chair facing away from the camera, which is how Trump is posed on the Time cover. Editor-in-chief Nancy Gibbs said that these were coincidences and the magazine didn't mean to make the comparison to Hitler. Still, Trump grew angry at the suggestions and ordered the M to be replaced by an O, so that he would now have a halo over his head. Trump said that he's honored to be named the TIOE magazine's Man of the Year and looks forward to gloating about this for the next month or so to Rosie O'Donnell.
Ilhan Omar made history in November by becoming the first Somali-American lawyer in the U.S. She was elected as a Minnesota state representative. Now she made history again by being the first U.S. lawmaker attacked by anti-Muslim threats in a cab. Oh, how far we've come. Omar said that she was returning from a policy meeting in Washington when a cab driver launched into a series of slurs. She claims that he called her ISIS and threatened to remove her hijab. When asked about reporting the incident, Omar said that she would wait until she returned to Minnesota to report because the cab driver knows where she stays. The 34-year-old Omar came to the U.S. from a refugee camp in Kenya and was elected partly due to anti-Muslim statements by Donald Trump. Minnesota has the largest Somali community in the country with about 50,000 members.
In Oops, I Was Accidentally Racist news, a New Zealand government agency is claiming that the rejection of a passport application was not a racist move. Instead, they say that the rejection was the result of a computer error. The application of Richard Lee was rejected with a note saying that his eyes were closed. Here's a picture of Lee. You can figure out the rest. Luckily, Lee is a good sport and said, quote, "It was a robot, no hard feelings." The New Zealand Immigration Service apologized for the error and said that the robot will be sent immediately for racial sensitivity training.
Space legend John Glenn has died. He was 95 years old. The astronaut was the first American to orbit the Earth in 1962, and at age 77, he became the oldest man to travel into space when he became part of the Discovery shuttle crew. Annie, his wife of 73 years, survives him, and a public memorial for the service will be held at Ohio State University. Let's watch Glenn's 1962 Friendship 7 space mission launch as narrated in the Discovery Channel series Rocket Science.
Every one of us, a belief that we'd lose at least one, possibly even more astronauts during the Mercury program. The risks were incredibly high. You know, when we put John Glenn on board a rocket, he was flying the 6th Atlas, and 2 of the previous 5 had blown up.
As Friendship 7 finally lifted off the pad at 9:47 that morning, Capcom Scott Carpenter had the last word.
Godspeed, John Glenn. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Glenn was falling around the Earth at nearly 18,000 miles an hour. 12 minutes after liftoff, he was over Africa. As he traversed the night sky over Australia, residents of Perth blinked their lights to say hello.
Roger, the lights show up very well, and I'll thank everybody for turning them on, will you? Sure will, John. Allie, over. Roger, how you doing, Gordo? We're doing real fine up here. Everything is going very well, over. Very good, John. You sound good. Roger. That was sure a short day. Time passes rapidly, huh? Yes, sir.
Half a world away in mission control, there was sudden cause for concern. An indicator suggested that Glenn's inflatable landing bag was deployed. Located just beneath his heat shield, a problem with the bag meant the shield itself might be loose, in which case Glenn would flash into vapor during the 9,000-degree re-entry through the atmosphere. As he passed into his second sunrise of the day, Glenn knew none of this. He was transfixed by thousands of what looked like fireflies dancing in the sunlight just outside his window. Hypnotically beautiful, their origin a complete mystery. Glenn excitedly reported his findings, trying to accurately and dispassionately describe what he was seeing. Nobody below seemed very interested. Passing over Australia, Glenn asked on-site Capcom Gordon Cooper to mark him down as having logged the 4 hours of flight time he needed to qualify for February's flying bonus. The $245 would be added to his monthly salary of $904.68. In mission control, the decision was made to bring Glenn down at the end of his third orbit.
We made a very risky decision to re-enter with the retro-rocket package attached, because the retro-rocket had straps that would hold the heat shield in place until the aerodynamic pressures in re-entry would maintain it in that position. So that was a very close call.
Now Glenn demanded to know what was going on. Alan Shepard advised him that he was to perform a manual re-entry with the retro pack attached. And then he told him why.
We are recommending that the retro package not, I say again, not be jettisoned. This also means that you will have to retract the scope manually. Do you understand? Roger, understand. I will have to make a manual 05G entry when it occurs and bring the scope in manually. Is that affirmed? That is affirmative. Friendship 7. Roger. Retracting scope manually. While you're doing that, we're not sure whether or not your landing bag is deployed. We feel it's far safer to re-enter with the retro package on. We see no difficulty at this time in that type of re-entry. Over. Roger. Understand.
I was more concerned that we were going to cause damage to the heat shield by having the pack on there as much as I was worrying about it coming off.
Friendship 7, this is Cape. Do you read? This is Friendship 7, a real fireball outside. This is Friendship 7. I think the pack just let go.
The heat of re-entry creates an ionized layer around the spacecraft that radio waves can't penetrate. Mission Control and the world would have to endure 4 minutes of silence without knowing whether Glenn had made it through.
The intruder is on green. Chute is out in reach condition at 10,800 feet and beautiful chute.
In the end, the problem had been neither landing bag nor heat shield, just a bad indicator light in Mission Control. John Glenn had earned his bonus with a perfect flight that had held America riveted since early that morning. The New York ticker tape parade would be larger than the one that greeted Lindbergh 35 years earlier, but that was still to come. For now, John Glenn stood alone on the deck of the recovery ship Noah, contemplating his 4th sunset in just over 5 hours. There were 3 more Mercury missions planned, each with dangers that would be all too real. But that too was still to come.
All my heroes are dead. This was Anais Quintela.
And Jeff Weber for 5 on 20 News. Next up, Anais gives us the lowdown on local arts and culture.
What's up, Tucson? I'm your host, Anais Quintela, and welcome to Art Talk. Well, I'll be using my barely relevant voice to share with you creative happenings both at home and across the globe. First, in local happenings, with all the stress of the looming holidays as well as the Trump-tastic abortion of democracy currently unfolding, everyone could use a little pick-me-up, and let me be the first to tell you all the ways in which Tucson is hooking it up with the events and distractions this Saturday. On the more tame and traditional side of things, on Saturday, December 10th at 10 a.m., Loft Cinema will be offering a free screening of The Wizard of Oz. How cute. And after you've cured your Friday night hangover with the sing-songing of Munchkins and the melting of Wicked Witches, it's time to get weird again. Zuzi Dance Theaters will be hosting Cirque Roots' Spectrum Show, aka a 40-minute performance by an all-female cast using a mixture of modern stilt dance, whatever that means, and partner acrobatics. As someone who can barely manage to walk across a flat and stable surface on my own 2 feet without tripping, stilting has always been something that, while intrigued me, has usually only been reserved for the darkest of my nightmares. Cirque Roots says that they were inspired by the idea that, quote, "we are the light we see in others," and that the performance will be a heart-opening piece that aims to build and empower the community with a universal message of positivity and hope. I can't make this stuff up. If you can get past the sappy, sentimental facade of their mission statement and spare the $25 from your drinking funds, the event starts at 7 p.m. at 738 North 5th Avenue. On the same night, December 10th, everyone's favorite politically active caffeine distributors, XO Coffee, will be hosting a fundraiser in support of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, who are protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline. There will be art and film, as well as music and specialty coffee drinks, with all proceeds going to the cause. This event happens at a time with the Army Corps having denied the permit to finish the pipeline along its current route, but with many speculating that this was purely a political move designed to push back the completion of the pipeline until the next presidential administration. The event will begin at 6 p.m. And I wanted to end my segment today about talking about the tragedy that took place in Oakland last weekend. For anyone unfamiliar with the event, a warehouse artist collective known as Ghost Ship went up in flames during an electronic dance party, trapping and killing dozens of Oakland activists and artists. Among those lost were UC Berkeley teachers and graduates, a therapist, a book publisher, the young son of a sheriff, and the list just goes on. There's a lot of discussion centered around this horrific event right now, with some pretty negative criticisms aimed at artists who take up residences in places like this. It's crucial to remember that underground co-op living spaces like this exist not only as a safe haven for LGBTQ and minority people who don't feel welcome in many aspects of today's social climate, but also as a reaction to the housing crisis taking place in many cities across our nation. They exist worldwide, even here in Tucson, and calamities such as the Ghost Ship fire can take place anywhere, anytime. I can only hope that this event will open up a dialogue about how we as communities can work to provide more accessible and functional safe spaces for artists and activists. Musician Kimya Dawson stated the sentiment much more eloquently than I in a Facebook post stating, "We meet in warehouses, where we can just love on each other and escape from all the scariness and sadness. We take care of each other in our unsafe spaces that can feel so much safer than your safest spaces. Imagine you are on a sinking ship and that there is only one lifeboat. and someone screams that there is a chance the lifeboat might tip over, you'll take that chance. We're not trying to put each other in danger. We are trying to save each other's lives. We love each other so much. I wanted to take a moment to honor some of the creative individuals who perished in the fire by playing a music video from the Bay Area dream pop band Them Are Us Too, of which one of the members was Cash Askew, who also died in the fire. That's all I've got for you this week, Tucson. This is Anais Quintela.
And Jeff Weber. So stay safe out there. Please don't die, because we'll be back here tomorrow on Channel 20 at 5 p.m. and online anytime at creativetucson.org. See you next time.